Hey, so I think we are live now. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for tuning in. So let's just wait for a few more minutes for others to come in as well. So now today is the last day of March. Okay, time flies. It's so quick. Okay, so hi, Firdaus. Thank you once again for sharing so much information about the Muslim markets. Yeah, today we have actually we have completed how many episodes? 4 episodes for on this
Wait,
Muslim
sorry, is that
market.
double feedback?
Oh, double feedback. No, I don't hear any double feedback. Test, test, test. Wait, let's test.
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, I can hear us. Well,
You can hear echo. Okay, test, test, test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
yeah.
Is it because of you're using 2 devices?
Uh, wait,
Mm. Yeah, my side is okay.
wait.
Mm. You can still hear double echo. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I left one device. Let me see
Okay,
if
let's
there's
try
any
again.
difference.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Do you
Have.
hear us? Still have echo? Yeah, my side is okay. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Testing 1, 2, 3.
not sure why.
Or you want to log out and come in again?
Yeah, let me try that.
Okay. Okay, everyone, maybe we just wait for a few hours to come in again. Okay, if you're here, you've tuned in, I appreciate you to just say hello so that we can interact with each other. And today is actually our last series on the Muslim market. Yeah, so do take this opportunity to ask Firdaus any questions regarding the Muslim market. He is certified in the Islamic finance professionals. So anything regarding to Sharia compliant tools, investments, just feel free to ask Firdaus. Take this opportunity to ask him questions, and we appreciate that you can stay focused for the next 1 hour. Okay, so that instead of just scrolling away, at least you learn something and take away something that you can benefit your clients, you know. Okay. Mm. So, Firdaus, are you okay now? Do you want to try again? You're muted.
Yep, test. Yeah, now
Okay.
can ready. Now okay ready.
Okay.
Yep,
Good, good,
can.
good. Okay. So once again, thank you, Firdaus, for your willingness to share about the Muslim market. And we have come to our 4th series and also the end of March. So I'm really appreciative of you for preparing so many information that can help the advisors to serve their Muslim clients better. Yeah. So when you are ready, the mic is yours.
Can. Thank you, Kira. Yep. So again, good evening to everyone, and thank you for joining in. Do like and subscribe to the Definity YouTube channel because we have a lot of live streams coming up, and do push the notification button as well so that you'll be notified of the instant updates when we do go live. Lastly, if you haven't done so, do join our Telegram channel as well so that you can receive up-to-date information on our live stream as well as other initiatives. And tune in again next session on the 8th of April, where our friend Ernest Tan will be talking about financial parenting and how you can be financial parents to your clients. So it's a very interesting topic, right? And as mentioned by Kyra, I myself specialize in financial planning for Muslims, and I've been doing that for several years since I started my career in the insurance industry. Um, as she has also said, you can leave your questions or comments in the comment section. You can straight away put them now. You don't have to wait until the end of the session for any Q&A. To manage expectations due to time constraint, I won't be able to cover much, but I'll do my very best to deliver as much value as I can. All right. So without further ado, let me share screen and then we can begin. Hi, Stephanie and Sheila. Okay. Mana? Right. So topic at hand for tonight is designing estate plans for our Muslim clients without violating Faraid law. So for those of you who may not necessarily be familiar, Faraid law is the Islamic inheritance law for us Muslims. Okay, so there are some common problems that our advisors and clients also face. Okay, give me a moment. This slide is there's supposed to be another slide. One moment, give me 1 minute. Let me just sort this out. Not supposed to be there's another slide. Mm, okay, can. Yep. So, of course, as financial advisors, we are here to help our clients solve their problems, right? But we ourselves may face problems, and that's where I come in to help fellow financial advisors, financial practitioners in the industry to help solve your problems so that you can achieve your goals, be it MDRT, COT, and beyond, and at the same time, of course, serve your Muslim clients. So, some of the common problems that I myself and my colleagues or peers in the financial industry face is number one, what if the non-Muslim advisors they find the challenge in serving the Muslim clients, their Muslim clients when it comes to estate planning. So you can cover all the income protection and all of the accumulation, but then when it comes to estate planning, the part where you help your clients hand over the policies or the sum assured to the family, that's when you run into problems, right? So that's where I come in. And what if I tell you, you yourself, especially the non-Muslim financial advisors, you can also help your Muslim clients with estate planning. Okay, so that you can close the loop in terms of financial planning when they are alive and also when they are no longer around. And at the same time, when you talk about estate planning, wills tends to come up. Okay, so what if I tell you Islamic estate planning can still be effectively done for your Muslim clients without necessarily writing up wills? Okay, and lastly, most importantly, what if I tell you you don't necessarily need a lot of additional knowledge to do all of this? Okay, so I hope to help you address all of these common problems, and together we can uplift the community and help serve our Muslim clients together. Okay, so when it comes to Faraid law, which refers to Islamic Inheritance Law, there are a few things that I need to give as a disclaimer and an overarching message. So first and foremost, very importantly, Islam as a religion itself is perfect, but the practitioners themselves may not be perfect. So Islam is perfect, but the Muslims are not perfect. Okay, so you may come across instances where, hey, I thought Islam says this, but the Muslims are not doing so. So just like any other religion, we believe they are perfect, but the practitioners themselves may not necessarily be perfect. If everyone follow every rule and every law as how they are supposed to be, the world will be a perfect place. But of course, we know that's not the case, right? Next, estate planning falls under what we call Faraid law, which is the Islamic Inheritance Law. And specifically in Singapore, there's something called the Administration of Muslim Law Act, So as you may know, for the non-Muslims, you have the ISA, the Intestate Succession Act. For the Muslims, we follow the Administration of Muslim Law Act, AMLA for short. Next, the male heir requirement. This is the part where it starts to get controversial. Some of you may already know that males in Islamic inheritance receive more than females. So much so they receive double, right? Twice as much. So there is a specific reason for this, and I'll cover that later on. But when it comes to Islamic inheritance, there needs to be a male heir. So this is a mandatory requirement. There needs to be a male heir that receives the estate. Why is this so? This is because the male heir is supposed to take care of the female heirs, right? So there's a very heavy responsibility in that. So the males receive more than the females because they need to use their inheritance money to take care of both themselves and the females. So for the females, they take the money, the inheritance money is for themselves. They don't need to share with anyone. They don't need to use that money to take care of anyone. So in Islam, the responsibility on the shoulders of men is very heavy and it's a lot. If every Muslim man, including myself, carry out all of our responsibility properly and correctly as it should, then all of the females in the Muslim community will be taken care of. Okay? Next, when we're talking about males, we always follow the males on the husband side as well as the father side, especially if the female is not married. Lastly, in Singapore, there is this government agency called MUIS. MUIS is the Islamic agency in Singapore that governs the Muslim affairs in our country. And then Mufti is known as our head Islamic scholar. So in every state or every country, there's a head scholar known as the Mufti. So the head scholar, Mufti, works together with MUIS, which is the government agency in Singapore governing the Islamic affairs. They work together in how to help Muslims in Singapore navigate today's day and age while practicing Islam. Okay, so a simple example will be COVID. So during COVID, there's a circuit breaker. But as Muslim men, we are supposed to perform Friday prayers every week. We're supposed to go to the mosque together, and we are always praying side by side, very close to one another. So when circuit breaker came about due to COVID, Muiz and Mufti looked into the matter, and they say that, okay, we have to prioritize health and the lives of not only Muslims, but also non-Muslims in Singapore. Therefore, we have to follow the circuit breaker rules. Okay, so that's how they go about it. They contextualize the religion in today's day and age. They don't change any rules with regards to the religion. Next, when it comes to Islamic inheritance, we need to know something called the Faraid beneficiaries. So these Faraid beneficiaries, they are the people who will receive the inheritance, the estate, and they are compulsory to receive, right? It's mandatory to receive. Meaning to say there is no point where they don't receive any part of the inheritance. They confirm plus chop must and will receive the inheritance from the deceased. Okay, so the first group of people are the parents, both father and mother, even if the parents divorce. Okay, so the parents divorce, that's their relationship, but relationship between child and parent remains intact. Next, spouse. Okay, so a common concern that Muslim females especially have is that they ask, will I receive the inheritance of my husband? Okay, so there is no situation where the spouse do not receive inheritance from the other spouse, especially the wife. Third are the kids. So no matter how many kids you have, even if kids from different partners, your child will always receive inheritance from you, vice versa. You also will receive from your child. Okay, so same thing if you and your spouse divorce, you and your child will still have that inheritance relationship. Right? So these three categories of people, they are set in stone. It's in the Quran itself. The Quran, our holy book, we believe is the word of God. So meaning to say God himself has spoken in his words saying that these three categories of people compulsory, mandatory, must receive inheritance from the deceased. Okay? And then, of course, when you talk about the male heir requirement, as long as there's at least one male in any of these three above categories, then the inheritance, the estate, will not flow out of these three categories. So, for example, let's say I'm a female, right? I'm married, I have a husband, my father is still around, I also have a son. So, all three categories, they are males. Let's say my father passed away already. I don't have a son, but I'm married, I have a husband. So, when I pass away, the money will go to my mom, will go to my daughters, will go to my husband. So it will not go to my siblings, to my nephews and nieces, uncles and aunts. Okay. If I'm not married, I don't have children, but my father is still around. Same thing. Okay. If my father is no longer around, my husband passed away already, but I have a son. Same thing. It will only remain within these three groups of people. My daughter will receive, my son will receive, my mother will receive. Okay, so any male in any of these three categories will ensure that the estate will not flow out of these three categories of people. And then we have the wills, right? So a will in Arabic term is known as a wasiyah or a wasiyat. So when we talk about wills, for Muslims, it's the one key difference between a Muslim will and a non-Muslim will is that Muslims can only bequeath a maximum of 1/3 of our estate through the will. Meaning to say, if let's say I have $900, example, okay? So when I pass away, my estate is $900 worth. I can only bequeath a maximum of $300 to anyone or any organization outside of these three category of mandatory people. These three groups of mandatory categories of people. Okay, so the $600 must go to my parents, my spouse, my kids. So 1/3 maximum, the $300 I can give to anyone. I can give to my friend, I can give to charity, I can give to anyone or any place else. Okay, so this is the will. And as you can see from the Islamic will, it is not a holistic solution because you can only give a maximum of 1/3, right? And at the end of the day, wills, just like a non-Muslim will, it is contestable. Okay, next. There's something called hiba. So hiba is basically gift. Okay, so hiba is an Arabic term. It means gift, right? So any kind of gift. You can gift anything to anyone. But the condition is you must be alive. And the ownership must change while you are alive. Okay, so you are gifting someone something while you are alive and the ownership already changed. So when you're alive, you can give anyone anything. You can give all of your assets away. No problem. Okay, and then when you pass away, there's nothing to give away from your estate. So it is possible. Okay. So some of the common examples today in Singapore context includes nomination. Both insurance and CPF nomination is recognized as a form of hiba. Okay, so when I make a nomination, I'm saying that I am gifting away my sum assured. I'm gifting away whatever balance I have in my CPF to my spouse, to my friend, to this charitable organization. Okay, so nomination. Can give to anyone, no matter how much the amount, regardless. There's no 1/3 rule or anything. Okay. Another document that is recognized today as a form of hiba is joint tenancy. So I pass away, my wife will inherit 100% of the house, right? That's joint tenancy. So MUIS have looked into this and they say that, okay, joint tenancy is a form of hiba contract. We recognize it. Muslims can use it for estate planning. Okay. And at the end of the day, right, Faraid, the objective is to take care of the living. Whoever the deceased leave behind, Faraid is there to take care of them, especially the dependents, especially the vulnerable. Okay, so joint tenancy is a very powerful contract where Islam also recognizes a form of hiba, and it is a valid document for estate planning because it protects the well-being and the interests of the dependents of the living that the deceased leave behind, i.e., the spouse and the children, especially when the kids are young. Okay. And next, of course, we can do up a trust. So the trust, I cannot go into too much detail, but in a nutshell, when we're talking about trust, right, there are two main types of trust, the living trust and the testamentary trust, which only takes effect after we pass away. So the living trust is as good as like any other gift, right? I set up a living trust now. Now I give away ownership of whatever it is I want to give. I put property inside this living trust. Nah, I already give this property to my children via this trust. This property belongs to them. It's no longer mine already via the trust. Okay, that's fine. Secondly is the testamentary trust. So the testamentary trust we need to be very careful if you do the testamentary trust because you can effectively and efficient and you can effectively bypass the entire Faraid law if you set up a testamentary trust. right? You can put everything inside the testamentary trust, and when you pass away, everything bypass the Faraid law. So we need to be careful when we set up a trust and how we advise our clients. At the end of the day, the intention must be right. Okay, so for example, there's something called a special needs trust company in Singapore, which MUIS also recognized, and MUIS has a working relationship with the special needs trust company. So for Muslims that want to set up a special needs trust with SNTC, they are eligible for some discounts by MUIS themselves. Okay, so here MUIS themselves are encouraging parents with kids that have special needs to set up a special needs trust for them, because these kids do need financial support, and likely until they grow old themselves. Okay, so that's where the trust is very important for them. So trust can be very useful, and it is allowed, but we need to be careful how we use them, especially for testamentary trust. If you want to set up one, you have to give up full ownership while you're alive, even though they only benefit the beneficiaries after you pass away. Okay, so that is trust. And lastly, whatever it is that we do, because we are living in Singapore, it has to abide by both civil and Faraid law. So the civil law in Singapore, as well as the Islamic Inheritance Law. Okay. Now, next, the importance of estate planning in Islam. So sometimes either the advisor themselves may not be familiar, or they may think that, oh, Islamic inheritance law, since it's already so rigid, it's already set in place, there's nothing I can do about it. There's no need to plan about it. Or the clients themselves feels that everything is already set in stone, right? Certain calculation and distribution already set up ready. There's no need to plan for estate, which is wrong, because there are some narrations which our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself has said, and also some verses in the Quran which talks about estate planning. So the first one is a narration by our Prophet, what he said. Okay, so what he said about estate planning is, number one, he said to leave our heirs rich is better than to leave them poor, begging from people. So the reference, the source is this book known as Sahih Bukhari, and it is found in number 5039. Okay, this can be used for your own reference, or if you want to show your Muslim clients also can. So this is an outright instruction from our Prophet himself to not only engage in estate planning, but also to leave a sizable amount for our dependents, so that they don't become poor, begging from others. Next, God himself has spoken in the Quran. He says that for those of you who die leaving widows, should bequeath for them a year's maintenance without forcing them out. Okay, so this one is classical language, because in the olden days they speak in this manner, right? So let me break it down for you. What this verse is saying basically is, right, those of you who die leaving widows, right? So who are those who die leaving widows? Basically husbands lah, right? Like myself. Okay, so there might be a situation where I pass away, I leave behind my wife, who will eventually become a widow, right? Okay, so talking to me actually. So those of you who die leaving widows. So I don't know whether I will die first or my wife will die first, but I am included in this verse because I might die before my wife, who I will leave behind as a widow. Okay, so this is God talking to me, number one. Number two, it says that I need to bequeath for them a year's maintenance. Okay, what does it mean? It means that I need to ensure that my wife well-being is taken care of. Her food, her drink, her clothes, everything is taken care of at least for 1 year. 1 year's maintenance. What I used to take care of her, the maintenance that I used to have for her, I need to ensure it's still there for her for 1 year. She don't need to work, she don't need to lift a finger, everything is still taken care of. She needs to have enough, at least for 1 year. Okay. The third part here, without forcing them out. Forcing them out from where? From their accommodation, their house, right? So when I'm alive, I am supposed to provide shelter to my wife, right? And then when I pass away, if she is still alive, I need to ensure that she can stay in our accommodation, in our house, at least for 1 year. Okay. So from this verse, right, we see that God is telling us husbands to ensure that if we pass away, we need to ensure that our wives have a place to stay, can eat, can drink, have clothes to wear, at least for 1 year. Okay. So of course, now we have to contextualize things, right? In today's day and age, especially living in the most expensive city in the world, Singapore, right? 1 year's worth of maintenance may not necessarily be enough. Dare I say it's not enough at all, right? So that's why we look at the Life Insurance Association's guidelines, 9 times annual income for death and TPD. So that will be our new reference. Okay, so here is the bare minimum, but we have the LIA guidelines to advise us on the ideal amount that we should leave behind. Okay, so again, going back to the joint tenancy, here God is telling us to ensure that our wives have a place to stay. Don't force them out. Okay, so this force them out. Many years ago, decades ago, what used to happen is that when husbands pass away, especially the siblings of the husband will haunt the widow, make the wife sell the house because they want the share of their estate from their brother in the property. So yes, the wife will still receive some share from the proceeds of the sale of the house, but we know it's not enough to buy another house, right? It's not the same. If they used to stay in a 5-room house, the amount that she received won't be able to buy another 5-room house, right? So it doesn't make sense. So that's where the joint tenancy protects the well-being of the living, i.e. the widow and the orphans that the husband leave behind, or vice versa if the wife is the one that passed away first. Okay, so this emphasizes on the importance of estate planning for Muslims, especially the husbands, the men. Lastly, also another narration from our Prophet, peace be upon him. He said it is not permissible, okay, it means it's sinful for any Muslim, man or woman, who has something to will away, to bequeath, to stay for 2 nights without having their last will and testament written and ready with them. Okay, so again, classical language, right? Him doesn't necessarily only mean to men, it can also mean female as well. So over here, our Prophet is basically instructing us, if you have something to bequeath away, and in our context today in Singapore, right, we have savings, we have bank accounts, we have insurance, we have CPF, right? Some of us may have our own place to stay, means we already have something to bequeath, something to will away. Okay, so it is sinful for us to go more than 2 days or 2 nights in this case if we don't prepare some form of estate planning. So here it says that last will and testament, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to write an actual will, right? So if you do have nominations done up, if you do have joint tenancy done up, right, it falls under here. Your testament has already been written and ready in the event of your demise. Okay, so some form of estate planning has to be done if we have things to bequeath away, if we have things to will away. And this is a direct instruction from our Prophet himself, captured in this narration. Okay, I just saw, yeah, hi Stephanie, hi Eric, hi Sheila also. Yep, so these are the importance of estate planning, and we should keep this close to our heart so that we know how important it is for Muslims to plan for their estate, number one, and number two, to emphasize estate planning with our Muslim clients. Okay, so inheritance calculator. Let me stop share screen here for a while. Let's see. Okay, so this is the part where I mentioned that you don't necessarily have to memorize everything. Okay, because some resources are already available online and readily accessible. Okay, so can I expand this? Okay, all right. Okay, so when you go to Google, okay, you type Faraid calculator SG, then you search. The very first option is under the Sharia Court, the online trial inheritance calculator. Okay, so as you can see, top left is a government agency website. It's under the Singapore Sharia Court. Then over here, you key in the gender. So this is very important because it makes the difference between male and female. On the right side, we have the School of Muslim Law. So there are 4 schools of thoughts in Islam. I won't go too deep into this. This one, you can simply ask your Muslim clients, which school do they follow? Okay, all are correct. Okay, all are correct, it's just different school of thoughts. So if they themselves don't know, or if you want just to show an illustration, just choose the first one, which is known as Shafi'i. This is the most common in Singapore. Okay, so let me use my own family profile for reference and in this example. Okay, so my father is still around. My brother, I have a brother. Okay, so for brother, do take note, there are different types of brothers. There's the full brother, same mother, same father. There's the consanguine brother, same father only, or the uterine brother, same mother only. Okay. I have two sisters, no more grandparents. My mother is still around, my wife, and my daughter. Okay, so I have no sons. Okay, so once you calculate or you generate, okay, so let me bring you down first over here. So over here, it says here the following family are not entitled to my estate. Why? Because there are existence of family members who are more closely related. Okay, so my siblings will not inherit anything in the event I pass away now, when these people are still around. So, because my father is a male heir, therefore my siblings won't receive. So it will only keep within the three categories of people. So you take all of my estate, you divide into 24 parts, and then half will go to my daughter, 5 parts will go to my father, 4 parts to my mom, and my wife will receive 3 parts. Right? So this is how it works. Okay, so that's why I say you don't have to memorize. I myself don't memorize the distribution. Okay, and I tell my clients don't need to memorize. Just go to this website and you can play around with this with the calculator. So you can give your own scenarios. What if my father pass away? What will happen? How will the distribution be? What if my mom pass away first? What if I have a son? What if my wife pass away first? So you can play around with the calculator and you can use this to show and also for yourself to see how the distribution will be like in the event they pass on and if they don't make the necessary estate planning decisions. Okay, so usually when I go through this with clients, I ask them, okay, Mr. Client, Madam Client, how do you feel about this? You okay? How you find the distribution? Okay, so some of them will say, I'm okay. Some of them will say, this one too much, this one too little. So that's where we come in to help them solve their problems. Okay, right. So yeah, this is the inheritance calculator. Readily accessible to anyone. It's open to the public. It's a government agency website, so it's trustworthy. And I also like to do the same thing with my clients when I meet them. I will show them the Google search bar first. Then I will click and I will show them where to get. Okay, so yeah, you can do the same thing with them. Let me share screen again, the slides. Okay, okay. Yep. So moving on, let's go into case studies. Okay, we are about halfway through our life. And this is the part where I go through some case studies to show you how we can help our clients with their estate planning matters. Okay, so scenario one, say this client, regardless, your client is a male or female, they have one son and one daughter. Okay, or they have both sons and daughters, regardless of how many sons or daughters they may have. So one angle that you can approach them with is estate equalization. Okay, so you can tell them, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, as you may know, in Islam, your daughter will receive less than your son. Okay, so we're not trying to go against what the law is saying, but would you want to give equal amounts to your children without going against the Islamic Inheritance Law? Okay, so how do we do that? Right? So it's similar, it's akin to the non-Muslim parts, whereby what you can do is you purchase insurance and then you nominate the child who will receive less. So in this case, you nominate the daughter, the amount that the son will receive more than the daughter. So if the son will receive $100, daughter will receive $50, you nominate $50 worth to the daughter. Okay, so estate equalization. So that's one way you can go about it. Secondly is Second scenario is this person, no sons, only daughters. The client's father is no longer around and the client has brothers. Okay, so in this context, let's just say that the client here is a male. Okay, and you can speak to both the husband and the wife in different with the same angle. Okay, so say for example, you talk to the male client, to the father, to the husband, right? So, Mr. Client, assuming you only have daughters and your father is no longer around, and considering you have brothers, are you aware that your brothers will inherit from your estate? Okay. So, in this scenario, would you want to ensure self-sufficiency not only to your daughters but also to your wife, so that they don't have to rely on your brothers? Okay. So, we're not saying that your brothers are not responsible. Okay, so we believe that they are responsible people. But again, going back to the fact that Singapore being the most expensive city in the world, he also has his own set of a family that he has to take care of. Why don't we nominate your children, your daughters, and your wife so that they are self-sufficient? That's why you can open more cases, right? Next, scenario three. Oh, sorry. Before that, for the earlier scenario, when you talk to the female, for example, right, you say that, Madam Client, are you aware that your brothers-in-law will inherit from your husband's estate also? That would mean you receive less, your daughter will also receive less, and your brothers-in-law are supposed to take care of you. Okay. So in this case, would you want to remain self-sufficient so that you don't have to depend on them, regardless of how responsible they may be? And I believe they are responsible. Okay, so you can speak about the same thing to both husband or wife. Okay, next, this person is married, parents still around, especially for the husband lah. Okay, so you say that, are you aware that your wife will receive lesser than your father, lesser than your mom? Okay, so would you want to increase the inheritance for your wife? Same thing, if you speak to the wife, are you aware that you receive lesser than both your husband's parents? So we're not trying to go against what God has mandated for the inheritance distribution, but wouldn't you want to receive at least the same amount as your parents? Wouldn't you want your husband to increase the inheritance that you will receive from his estate? Okay, so that's another way that you can open more cases to your clients. Right. So designing the estate plan for our Muslim clients. Okay, so this is the part where we will combine the different documents that we've talked about just now that are allowed for us Muslims in Singapore, number one. And number two, we will apply to the different asset classes that are most common to Singaporeans. Okay. First, residential property. Joint tenancy, simple, easy. Okay. And also, before I go on, usually a person's estate plan will always have an overlap with their retirement plan. Okay, say for example CPF. So CPF life payout we consume, but then we pass away, we nominate to someone else, right? So there's an overlap between the person's estate plan and retirement plan, which we'll talk about that as well. Okay, I just saw one question from Sheila Ko. Hi Firdaus, I face many challenges to navigate many Sharia laws. How do you advise I can do better to serve my Muslim clients? Specific to Islamic Inheritance Law, based on what I have shared and I will continue to share towards the end of the live stream, these are the information and the knowledge that has so far been, how do I say, been most common in my experience dealing with Muslim clients. So there are, in some cases, unique instances where you need more knowledge or information on top of whatever I just covered. But in most cases, this knowledge and information are enough for most cases, regardless of how affluent they may be. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is when we're talking about other types of Sharia laws, investment-wise, insurance-wise, then yeah, you will have to look into those different types of laws lah. Specifically for today, when we're talking about estate laws, this one is applicable in most cases, in most of the time, and also enough for me and my colleagues to qualify for MDRT and even COT, right? Is there any fintech or tools that we can use to better navigate the estate planning for Muslims? So number one is the inheritance calculator. Next, the simple answer is no lah. There's no other fintech or tools that we can better to navigate. There are some resources from MUIS themselves. There are PDFs that you can use to help both you, the advisor, and the clients navigate the whole estate planning flow. And of course, as I mentioned, I cannot cover everything. But so far, what I mentioned here would be enough to at least, number one, open the conversation with your clients. Number two, also close cases for yourself. Okay. Yeah, other than that, usually the go-to tool is the inheritance calculator themselves, which I myself and my colleagues and other practitioners in the industry that I know of use very diligently, very religiously also, because it's very useful. Yeah, because you can see. Yeah. What about investment compliant knowledge? Yeah, so As mentioned by Kira, you can attend my course where I will go into the investment compliant knowledge, even insurance. Now there are more funds and even products that are coming up, but specifically catering to the Muslim market, and that's where I will cover these aspects as well. Okay. Yeah, thank you for the questions. Do keep them coming, even though I am covering some other stuff. So as and when I will see the comments and I will respond accordingly. Okay. Yeah. So next, other properties. If a person has more than one properties in Singapore, I'm referring to in Singapore, properties in Singapore. You can do joint tenancy as well, or you can set up a trust. Okay, so trust, two types, living and the testamentary trust. So you can do either way. Okay, so especially for trust, right? There needs to be an agreement. Say, for example, you set up the trust and you give away the property to your children. Okay, so the ownership has changed to them already via the trust. Or actually the trust is the new owner lah for the property, right? And the beneficiary will eventually be the children. So there needs to be an agreement between the children and yourself to say that, hey, while I'm alive, I take the rental income for my retirement. Right? Like I mentioned just now, there tends to be overlap between retirement and estate plan. So you tell them that, when I'm alive, I take the rental income. And then when I pass away, you take the rental income, you take the property for capital appreciation and whatnot. Okay, so that can be done. Next, bank savings. Straightforward, joint account. Okay, so whoever you want to give the cash in bank, have the joint account with them. CPF and insurance policies, nominations, and both types. Okay, so both types referring to revocable and irrevocable. So as you know, irrevocable is a type of trust. So you don't even need to set up a trust to have a trust. Trust nomination, free. You set up a trust, you need to pay more money, right? Yeah. So irrevocable nomination is a form of trust as well. Next, valuables. So valuables is anything that has resale value, anything that can go up in value over time. So we're talking about gold bar, gold bullion, jewelry, luxury watch or bags. So all of this falls under valuables, and you can do up a hibah contract. So hibah contract, you have to engage a lawyer who can draft up the hibah contract. Okay, so it's like drafting up a will. Okay, so you need a lawyer to do that. Again, you need to pay money for that. Okay. And then, of course, when we're talking about all of these assets, right? If you want some ideas to how to go about um, uh, advising your clients to choose you and your insurance product instead of all of these things, right? So, for example, property versus insurance policies, right? So, for example, property always subject to government changes in policies, subject to taxes. Insurance policy, no tax, no change in government policy. Of course, like for example, shield plan, all these there are changes lah. But we're talking about ILP or your annuity or endowment, right? There's no effect, there's no change in policy that will impact these policies. Yeah, so it might be a better option, right? Especially if you're talking about retirement payout, retirement income, and we're talking about income. If you are looking for rental income from the property, we also can give you dividends from our investments, right? Yeah, so these are some ideas that you can use or you can get inspiration to bring your clients to choose you and your insurance product over properties. So example, insurance policy, right? Especially insurance policy. In fact, you do absolute assignment. So when you do an absolute assignment, you also don't need to set up a trust because you already give up ownership to somebody else. So when you do a policy, when you do a absolute assignment, it's a form of hibah already because you are giving away ownership of the policy. So again, you don't need to set up a trust. And then again, same thing, you can talk to them like, I assign you this policy, but let me use the cash value or part of it or the dividends. Okay, so agreement, there needs to be an agreement, especially there's overlapping between retirement and estate plan. Cash in bank, right? Simple, standard, inflation, objection handling, and also subject to scams. So how many times have you heard insurance policy cash value get scammed out? Zero. We've never heard of it before. So insurance policy is more safe than putting money in the bank. Okay. And then lastly, of course, for your valuables, right? If they have these valuables specifically for investment purposes, these valuables are susceptible to fire, theft, and can even get spoiled. And there's no passive income unless you rent out. But if you rent out, then you cannot use the valuable yourself. And if you're talking about rental income from these valuables, same thing. You can use the dividends from your investments or your insurance products to counter their idea of getting rental income from their valuables. Okay. Next, investments. So say they have robo-advisor, they have other investments, they invest in the stock market and whatnot. Okay. So same thing, you can do up a trust, both types, or you can draft up a HIBA contract. Okay. Next, if they have vehicles, similarly, trust as well as HIBA contract. Lastly, any other items, any other loose items, you can also do a HIBA contract. So for example, art, cash, heirloom that may not necessarily have any resale value, or it doesn't increase in value over time, but it's an heirloom lah. There's a sentimental value to it. You can do up a HIBA contract. Okay, so again, going back to the investments just now, especially if it's intended for retirement, there's an overlap between estate and retirement plan, right? The investment with us, insurance company, nomination is free, right? You do investment outside, you set up a trust, or you do up a HIBA contract, you have to pay more money, correct? And then you invest with me, I handle the investment. You invest outside, you have to manage on your own. So less headache for you. Vehicle, same thing. If you are renting out your vehicle, we can counter with our dividends, less headache for you, and also you need to take note of the loans of the vehicles. We don't want to bequeath liabilities instead of assets to your family members. Cash, same thing, lose to inflation. And then when we're talking about art, if it's specifically for investment purposes, it is also susceptible to fire, theft. You can become spoiled, and also takes up space, right? And lastly, doing up a HIBA contract or setting up a trust, it costs money. Nomination, including trust nomination, is free. Okay. And lastly, insurance policy, most if not all of them, the capital is guaranteed upon death. Minimally, you get back your capital. Sorry, your family will get the capital. Okay, so there are a lot of pointers there. Of course, we can counter our clients when we want to bring them towards our insurance products. Okay, but in a nutshell, if they don't want, this is how you can help design the estate plan for them based on the most common assets that most Muslims or most people in Singapore have. Okay, so again, I mentioned all of this specifically referring to assets that they have in Singapore. Why? Because if it's outside of Singapore, it's subject to laws in that country. So for example, if it's a Muslim country that they are investing in or they have properties in, then likely their civil law and Faraid law is the same because it's a Muslim country. If it's a non-Muslim country also, then they may not recognize Islamic law as much as Singapore does. So their civil law is much more stronger. So then that's where you need to engage a lawyer either in Singapore or outside of Singapore or even both. Okay, so these are all assets specifically pertaining to Singapore only. Okay, moving on. Inheritance distribution. So specific to or not specific, sorry, similar to non-Muslims, Muslims can look to estate planning to, number one, increase the size of the estate for their beneficiaries. They can do it for charitable causes. They can do it to cover debts. They can even give to foster family members. And lastly, for business succession planning. These are similar to non-Muslims. Specific to Muslims, number one, they can look to give more to females. Number two, they can seek to relieve the men from the responsibilities. Number three, to give to non-Muslim family members because non-Muslim cannot inherit from Muslims. And lastly, to give to children who are adopted or born out of wedlock. So for illegitimate children who are born out of wedlock, they do not have a legitimate Islamic relationship with their father. It's not recognized in Islam. The only legitimate Islamic relationship that they have is with their mother. Okay, so in this case, even if the biological father marries the biological mother after the child is conceived, the child still do not have a legitimate Islamic relationship with the father. Hence, both the biological father and the biological child cannot inherit one another. So that's where nominations can come in. or bequeathing 1/3 of the assets via the will. Okay. Application wise, so this is very important. First and foremost, as I mentioned, estate planning is intended to protect and to take care of the living, and we cannot, uh, you know, engage in estate planning specifically to bypass Faraid for selfish reasons. And we're talking about selfish reasons, right? Every one of us touch our heart, we know what selfish means or is. Okay. So just because we don't like certain people or we favor some over others, that does not constitute as a valid reason to intentionally bypass Faraid law. So some common examples that we tend to come across is the parents will say, "Oh, this child is more filial to me. This child always contact me, always visit me. This child ghosts me already. You know, don't call me, don't visit me. You know, I don't want to give this child." So we need to acknowledge that filial piety and estate distribution is not linked to one another. This is not a reward for this. Okay, even if the parent give up the children for adoption, the child cannot say that, oh, why should I give my parents, you know, never take care a day in my life, I should give my foster parents. You can, but you shouldn't do that specifically to get back to your parents because they never took care of you. Okay, so we have to separate the two, right? The intent of Faraid is always to take care of the living, especially the vulnerable, i.e. the kids, elderly, and even women. Okay, so that is the intention of estate planning and Faraid. Lastly, those due to receive their share via Islamic inheritance, they should receive some. Okay, so say for example, the property already joint tenancy with your spouse. You nominate your CPF, nominate your insurance policy to your children already. Then your cash in bank, any valuables that you may have, you know, follow Faraid. Let the people who are due to receive their share, even if it's a bit, so they don't feel like, oh, you know, my brother or my child or my parent do so many things just to get back to me, get back at me. Okay, so we believe that God, in His divine wisdom, has His reasons to ensure there are certain people who receive their share in the estate, and we leave it to Him in His divine knowledge as to why. Because we also believe at the end of the day, God is the most just and He will uphold justice, right? Next, estate planning can and even should be done to facilitate distribution, similar to non-Muslims, prevent disputes, also similar to non-Muslims, and lastly, sincerely wanting to relieve the responsibility from the men in some cases and instances. Okay, so at the end of the day, estate planning, be it Muslim or non-Muslim, it is to make things easier, faster, and simpler. So when we're talking about relieving the responsibility from the men, right? Some of the male beneficiaries, they may not necessarily be in the position to discharge their duties. So number one, they may not be of sound mind, and number two, they may be serving prison sentence, especially life sentence, where they will never get out of the prison. So might as well give someone who is outside of the prison, someone who is of sound mind, who can take care of the people, of the men who are not able to carry out their roles and duties. Okay, so that is the end of what I wanted to share. I hope I managed to deliver as much value as possible. This is the part where we can open up the floor to any more questions or any more comments that anyone has that I can help to address. Yeah, feel free to put in the comment section, and then after that, we can address them together. Thank you, Sheila.
Okay, thank you so much, Firdaus,
Thank you, Stephanie.
for your sharing. Yeah, thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Stephanie. So I guess we have come to the end of our Finity live stream, especially for this series on Sharia compliant and Muslim market. So just to let you know that this is just a glimpse of what you are going to experience during our one-day workshop. So the next intake is happening on the 30th of April. So if you want to serve your Muslim clients effectively, I believe as an advisor, you must really develop a deep expertise in Islamic finance. Yeah, like one of our participants today, is a very good question that you asked how you can do better in serving your Muslim clients is really to continue to learn, continue to
Yep.
upskill and definitely continue to learn from the right person, because Firdaus is a certified Islamic financial professional and he's here to teach you, and he has conducted many courses with very deep, with very good ratings and very good feedback from our students. Okay, so from the course, you can also understand different intricacies of Sharia law, staying updated on regulatory changes, and also being able to offer a wide range of Sharia compliant products. Not only estate planning, there's a lot of things that you have to learn about investment compliant tools as well. Yeah, with that said, I guess that's all from me. Firdaus, is there anything you want to add on? Okay, if there is no other questions, that's the end of our live stream. Stay tuned, because April we have many more interesting topics lined up for you to tune in. If you have not joined or push on the notifications in the YouTube live stream, I would strongly encourage you to push on the notification so that you can get our instant updates. And if you have not joined our Telegram group chat, feel free to do so that you can be updated on our next live stream as well as our next courses. Yeah. Yeah, good night, everyone. That's all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.